speaking of the counter tendencies that I was talking about that run through that run through American the American project. One of the things that is part of the authoritarian tendency is the division of the working class, and there is something that I've seen going on recently that just totally exemplifies that to me. So as an exposition, the CARES Act, it included $600 a week additional for unemployed folks for 4 months during this crisis. And that stimulus sunsets in 4 months. So that's $600 a week on top of whatever your state already gives you for unemployment. So here in Alabama, I think it tops out at $275 a week. So if you make, if you're going to be drawing that top out, then that's going to be $875 a week, before taxes, obviously. And unemployment, they do take taxes out of that. And there are folks that are still having to work, and I've seen folks, not completely without reason, really irritated that unemployed folks are now making more than they used to, and also more than essential workers are making now. And like I said, that's not totally without reason, but they are really angry at the people receiving this extra money, and that anger is just totally misplaced, because get a load of this. While they were getting mad at those folks who are making maybe a little bit, Sarah the bartender, let's say, who's making a little bit of extra money and now has enough money to buy a Nintendo Switch for the first time in her life. Millionaires received a temporary tax cut that was buried within the CARES Act that will give folks earning over $1 million annually an average of a $1.7 million check. Yeah. That the average millionaire is going to be getting a tax cut of $1.7 million. Right? So while you're over here really angry at Sarah the bartender who now has a Nintendo Switch, this big corporate bigwig has $1.7 million more dollars. They spent more money on this tax break than all of the aid to hospitals combined. That's absurd. You are right to be angry that you're in the grocery store and you're not making as much as the people that are on unemployment right now. But the person to be mad at is the CEO of your company who is not giving you hazard pay. The person to be mad at is the politicians who are destroying unions and are not allowing you to organize for higher wages. Those are the people to be mad at. It's not Sarah the bartender. Okay, yeah. It's absurd.
Well,
so
and I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, you're right. There's some justification there for people. They're frustrated on the one hand because they're having to work, and there's a lot of people that are not able to work, and they're drawing a little bit more money than what they used to. I get it, 100% get it. I don't think that, and I'll go to the defense, and maybe wrongly so, I'll go to the defense of a lot of the politicians that's laid this out. I believe it was laid out in good conscience that, there's going to be a lot of people that are in the $18, $20, $25 an hour range is going to be laid off, and they were trying to bridge that gap that they would have lost. But what I don't think that a lot of the politicians anticipated was for the businesses to come out and declare so many essential workers. I think they really thought that, okay, a lot of these people are going to be laid off. They're not going to be essential. For example, the folks down at Lowe's. Are you telling me that Lowe's is an essential business? I mean, I recognize they're probably selling a few essential goods, some plumbing, some things that you may need to redo your house. But truly, you know, what I've seen being purchased at Lowe's for the last 2 weeks is non-essential. So the best thing that they could have done was said, for the essential workers, we're gonna provide hazard pay across the board, federal government, you know, and then bring those rates up, because truly, a lot of these essential workers, so-called essential workers, especially the ones at the grocery stores, the ones at McDonald's, the ones at Burger King, it is truly sickening that they're still making the wages that they're making, and they may get, I've heard, you know, one say that they were getting a $30 bonus a week. They were being provided literally, and I won't say the grocery store, but they were providing them with a soda, a free 20-ounce soda per day. And I'm thinking, God almighty, is this the absolute best you can do?
Right.
So I get it. There's some justification to it.
Yeah.
But the justification is that I'm pissed because those people are at home drawing a few more dollars than I'm. The justification or what you should be angry about is the fact that you're still having to work and not making a penny more than you were, and your life's being put at risk.
Exactly. You know, like more often than not, when things like this happen, there is reason to be angry. Yeah. There are lots of reasons to be angry, but the person to be angry at is not your neighbor to your left or to your right, or a person that is, you know, lower than you socioeconomically. It's the person that's, you know, the ruling class. You know, don't look left or right or down, look up. Look, you know, that's where your problem is. And this is just one more iteration in a long line of keeping workers fighting over crumbs while the owner class makes off with the cake. We saw it with the advent of racial slavery. Before, there were, you know, white indentured servants, and they were getting rowdy and wanting more, and so they started working with the black indentured servants, and so they were like, you know what, white folks, you're a little bit better off. These white folks are slaves. You white folks are a little bit better off, and we'll buy you off that way. We can see it with fear of immigrants. Eastern and Southern Europeans in the early 1900s, the Yellow Peril in the late 1800s, the Irish and the Hispanics today. It's all just ruling class tactics to keep workers fighting against each other, when really anytime you feel the urge to be angry with or look down on or fearful of your fellow workers, it's best to take a step back and look up, because your fellow worker is almost certainly not the architect of your misery, and your bickering will only serve as a distraction and a hindrance in creating a better world. It will not further the goal of creating a better world. Like being unnecessarily punitive towards immigrants will not create a better world. Getting mad at Sarah the bartender is not gonna create a better world. Okay.
And we talked about this
ruling class. That's gonna you know, point your anger where it needs to be, and point it together, and that'll make a better world.
Yeah, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago. You know, we discussed that the stimulus packages has come out. We were getting some bumps in the unemployment. You know, there was some good things going on. And what did I say? I said, we've got another one coming. We got another one coming down the pipe. Everybody knew that there was another one coming down the pipe. One just come out. I don't know if it's been signed yet. I don't think it's been signed yet. Trump has said he's going to sign it. What is the only thing that they've done? The only thing that they've done in this next stimulus package is fund the small business loan program. Mm-hmm. They've done absolutely nothing for workers. And I said, please get on the phone, send emails, talk to your legislators, talk to your congressmen. And the fact of the matter is, with the stimulus package that they had just released, it appeased a lot of people. They thought,
Right.
yeah, we finally got something. There's no reason to call anybody. And here we are, less than 2 weeks later, and they're throwing tons of money at small businesses. And don't get me wrong, the small business is important. I'm glad that they are providing some more loans to those people to keep their workers employed. The fact of the matter is, most of those workers are making slave wages, and those are the essential workers that they're forcing to stay on the books. But we could have done better, and we should have done better.
Yes, we could have, and we should have done better. And that small business protection program, that was a really good idea, in my opinion. And the Democrats had, in a previous version of that protection program that had more money, and it had more restrictions on what kind of companies could apply for it. So under the Democrats' plan, for example, Ruth's Chris couldn't have gotten that money, or what was the other one?
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. They couldn't have gotten that money. It would have been really set aside for small businesses. And I read something that said like 80% of the loans that were given out from the Small Business Protection Program were to large publicly traded companies.
Yeah.
And,
because they were the ones with the funds and the capital to get into the banks quick.
Right.
The small businesses don't have the lawyers sitting there and the accountants sitting there when the loans opened up that morning, waiting in line.
Exactly. So, it's really important to, and this is what a lot of other countries are doing. They are essentially paying the payroll of companies to keep people employed so that they're not unemployed. So that way, when this is over, they can restart the economy more efficiently. They can just, flick a light and everybody goes back to work because they're still employed. Here, it's going to be a lot more difficult. The recovery is going to be a lot more difficult here than in most other countries, because what we are doing is laying workers off, and instead of paying them through their job. And so now when people go back into the workforce after this is over, they're going to be going into a workforce with 20% unemployment, where competition is a lot higher for jobs, where they don't have as much bargaining power because they could be more easily replaced with a pool of reserved labor. And so I'm really worried about the recovery that is going to result from the way that we have structured this, the shutdown. I'm really worried about that.
They've stacked the cards in favor of business once again. They've stacked the cards in favor of business once again. Perfect opportunity. Yep,
exactly. That's what Milton Friedman. That's what he proposed. He was like, folks are not going to accept these unpopular free market ideas when times are good. So you have to wait for a disaster, and as soon as there's a disaster, you got to make sure that your ideas are the ones lying around. And his ideas have been the ones that were lying around for a really long time. I've been reading a really good book by Naomi Klein called Shock Doctrine about that, exactly, about how capitalists the world over have been taking advantage of disasters to rewrite laws, rewrite constitutions, overthrow governments, and institute unpopular free market reforms that are really bad for workers and for the working class, and really good for capitalists.
Yep.
So.
You just watched a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We're in North Alabama talking about the news for workers, by workers. We're going to be on the radio on 92.5 FM, 770 AM in the Huntsville, Decatur, Athens listening area on Saturdays from 9:30 to 11 AM beginning in May. We believe that this is a really good opportunity to put new ideas in front of a conservative talk show audience. This is an audience that has never so much as heard the word union in a positive light. But we need help raising the funds to purchase the airtime. So if you could afford to send us a few bucks, you can do that by going to patreon.com/thevalleylaborreport. If you can't afford to do that, that's fine too. There are a lot of people going through some really rough times right now. So if you could just share our videos, that would be really helpful. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you.